Hello and welcome back to the Coaches Show here on SportsNetUSA.net. My name is Ryan Osborne. I'm joined by Janae Price. And you know what, Janae? Fullerton College goes south and they stretch their winning streak to 23 games.
Yes, they did. They traveled south, played against Southwestern, and came away with a win of 19-14 on that winning streak.
And you know what? It's not going to get any easier for the Fullerton Hornets as they're going to have to take on Ventura this upcoming Saturday. We're being joined by quarterback Gresch Jensen of the Fullerton College football team. Gresch, you look at your performance on week 1 against Golden West. It seemed like the offense was maybe sputtering a little bit out of the gate, but you switch over to Riverside, over 400 yards passing. What switched for you?
I think it was just the focus and just getting more comfortable in the offense. We had a lot of new guys coming in this year and going through fall camp, and then getting our first real live action. I think that was a little bit of an adjustment for us. And then just coming out with Riverside, I mean, they're a good team, and we came out with a level of focus, and we just really executed that whole week.
Then you turn the page. You look at Southwestern this weekend. You guys come away with the victory, only 5 points, though. How do you change things going into Ventura?
Yeah, Ventura is another good team. These are all good teams, and we played first 3 out of 4 on the road, and having the 3-hour bus ride last week, that was that was different for us. And this team's faced a lot of adversity so far, and we're just happy to be 4-0 right now. And right now we're just trying to take it 1-0 this week. And Ventura is a darn good team, and we're looking forward to the challenge, though.
You go to 2 weeks ago, key to the county game, and you just talked about adversity. There wasn't too much to be had in that Santa Ana game. How do you take away things that you can improve on when you have a game that goes so well?
I think there's always things you can improve on, whether it's in practice or every day you try to get better, a little bit better each day. And, Santa Ana, it helped when the defense and the special teams made a lot of plays for us. And, only playing 9 plays in that game, and that's all they needed. And the guys came in and did a great job and just kept executing and really getting a good game plan for that game.
You look at Ventura this Saturday. What specifically are you training for?
They do a lot of things defensively. They got really good athletes. It's going to be a good challenge for us, and I'm excited for it going forward. And I think we got a good game plan in place, and it's just honing a little bit of things, maybe switching some things up a little bit, and just really practicing and just executing our stuff.
Being at Montana, setting some school records over at Montana, then coming here to Fullerton. Do you still get those pregame jitters, even though you've been there multiple times?
Yeah, you always do. I just love playing football, and it's just going out there and just being fun and having a great time playing and playing with your best friends and just going out there and just having a good time. I mean, that's life's so short, and just go out here and just enjoy. Anytime you get to play, I still get nervous, and but it's like a nervous, excited, and just playing football, man. I love it.
You come to the 2-time defending national champions. Is there any onus on you to try and continue that?
I think that's just the expectation for each year we come here. I mean, Fullerton College. I mean, that's where you come here to win championships, and that's our goal each and every year. And each game we just try to win each game one game at a time, and see at the end of the year what happens.
Coach Garrett Campbell's offense, how does it differ from previous systems you've been in?
He does a really good job adjusting to kind of what I feel comfortable with and what the guys feel comfortable. He listens to feedback. He does a bunch of different things, and he's very diverse in what he does. It keeps defenses off balance, and it's a fun offense. I mean, especially you saw putting up all those points. I mean, it's fun to go out there and throw the ball around, and it's a really good offense.
When you do have a system that you're energetic to be in, does it make kind of learning the playbook, getting chemistry with your wide receivers, does it make it all that much easier?
Oh yeah, I mean it definitely does. Whenever it's like sitting in class and you're interested in the subject, and it just helps a little bit when you're invested in it and making sure that everyone's on that level. And that's kind of what we try to get here is everyone on the same level, on the same page, and invested in what we do.
You look at Jawan Johnson, Robert Downs III, 2 guys who have very different skill sets, but yet very successful whenever you throw the ball out to them. How do they differ?
They're both very explosive. You see him on Rob on his punt returns. I mean, shoot, he had a couple called back, but man, that guy's explosive. And then Jawan, we just try to get him the ball as much as we can. Get him in space, let him make plays. They're both very explosive and great. And all our receivers, we got a very talented room for all those guys.
Thank you, Gresch. Good luck on Saturday against Ventura.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I'm Janae Price with SportsNetUSA.net. I'm here with Corey Lewis, Fullerton Hornets kicker. Corey, I know you guys just played Southwestern. You went into halftime tied. Did you do anything strategically on special teams after?
I went up to my long snapper and I told a guy and also the holder, and I said, hey man, we got to really make these. We missed the first 2 in the first half, so we decided that we needed to slow things down a little bit and like kind of get mentally more focused in order to and just achieve what we really wanted to do. We came out in the fourth quarter, hit a big field goal, and that was really big for our team, and that was a lot of confidence booster in us.
Well, you guys definitely came away with a win. So what has it been like in practice this week?
It's been really already fun. Like a lot of challenges. They're bringing a ton of heat. We're looking forward for our next week's competition. They're coming in with a full man press on our field goal, and as long as our punt. It's been already like a full competition, and it's been a lot of fun already throughout the week. It's only day 2.
Seriously. So I know you guys are looking at Ventura coming up this Saturday. So what is it that you specifically will be working on? Is it your punting, field goals?
Honestly, I think it's all 3. I think it's literally just kickoff, field goal, and punt. Because special teams is a huge part of the game, especially with a good team like Ventura that we're playing against this weekend. The kickoffs need to be good. We need to have good coverage for our field guys to make sure Ventura has a harder chance on bringing the ball up the field. Field goals, every point is going to be so important. Like, it's a good team, so we're going to really need to make sure we do what we need to do on special teams in order to make our team as most successful as possible. And for punting, it changes the field completely. So everything's got to be just on point. And I'm going to be looking forward to doing all 3 this week, and I'm going to be looking forward to just practicing each one this week. And I think I'm honestly focused on every one.
On everyone. Well, I'm sure that's how they like to see it. Well, thank you for coming out and interviewing with us today. Again,
We're being joined by offensive line coach Lance Zeno. Coach Zeno, you look at how your team played against Golden West, transitioned to Riverside early on in the season. How did the offensive line mature from game 1 to game 2?
I think we've actually improved every week. This last week, there's some fundamentals that we didn't really progress like we wanted to. I think the run blocking, we weren't smashing guys and pushing off the ball like we'd like to. That's something we worked on today. But overall, I think each week there's different skill sets that we've improved on.
You talk about this week, looking at Ventura this upcoming Saturday, a team ranked in the top 5. How was practice preparing for that level of opponent?
Ventura's an outstanding team. Great program, have been successful the last 15, 20 years. We got our work cut out for us. We had a good day of practice today. We emphasized more physical run blocking from an offensive line standpoint, but there's a lot of things we got to prepare for. They do a lot of different things blitz-wise that we need to make sure we're prepared for.
When you have a complete change of guard, with the exception of James Stanton and Jacob Jankowiak, how do you make sure that those incoming guys, incoming freshmen, all of a sudden mature as quickly as possible throughout the season?
Well, it's really the next guy up mentality, and the more reps you can get every day in practice, the better off you're going to be. Offensive line position is based on muscle memory, so I just try to get them as many reps as I possibly can. Believe in them, help them out, and just pay attention to detail.
Offensive line consists a lot about that first punch that you're able to get off of once you get up and off the line. Is that going to be something big for you guys against Ventura?
The skill set pass protection for our guys is getting out of their stance, creating separation, and then the punch, the separation, maintaining it, and then mirroring a guy. So there's so many different details, and every time we do pass.
Coach, you personally, you were at the college level, putting on that blue and gold for the first time. What was it like for you, and also seeing it in these guys that you get to coach, being in that first college game?
Yeah, I remember UCLA. We were up at Oregon State, and they threw me in the first game, and it's a memory that I'll always have. I try to be. I try to think about the guys. Their first game, they're so nervous. I tell them, look, go out there the first series, get all the nervousness, get hitting and everything out, and just concentrate on the fundamentals we teach every day in practice.
Was there anyone specifically for you who was really a mentor on the offensive line?
We had a couple guys when I was at UCLA, and they both played in the NFL. Frank Cornish played about 10 years in the NFL, a center, played with the Cowboys when they won a Super Bowl. I always preach to the guys that you become good when you do individual work and you work with a guy who makes you better every single day. So I think Frank was one guy that every single day we made each other better, and I think it helped us a long-term career.
When you look at your career at UCLA, you were a guy who was willing to do anything for the team, even switching positions in your senior season. Is that something that you preach to your team now?
Absolutely. I think the offensive line, guys are kind of unheralded, but they just get in there and get it done. If I need a guy to switch from guard to tackle or tackle to guard or center to tackle, guys that do it, you're doing what's best for the team, you're doing what's best for the unit. So we're not selfish by any means.
You talk about being a little bit unheralded. The offensive line, a lot of people think, hey, if you're having a good game, nobody hears about the offensive line. Is that the way that you want to kind of set the tempo for your team?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. If you're not holding, you're not making mistakes, and people don't know that you're actually in the game besides you just getting the job done, that's what we want.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck against Ventura.
You got it. My pleasure.
So though Fullerton does get a victory on Saturday, 19-14 against Southwestern, well, they're not the only team that's featured here on SportsNetUSA.net. SportsNetUSA.net is the leader for community college football. The reason being, we have East LA College, we have LA Valley, Fullerton College, the two-time defending national champions, and also Golden West College as well. Speaking of those four, before we get to the recaps here on the Coaches Show on SportsNetUSA.net, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Miller Toyota of Anaheim. If you are a family member or possibly even a friend is looking for a new or used vehicle, look no further than Miller Toyota of Anaheim. You can visit them in person at the corner of the 91 and Euclid or visit them online at MillerToyotaofAnaheim.com. Once again, that is Miller Toyota of Anaheim. Miller Toyota of Anaheim supports high school sports, community college sports, and most of all education. Once again, that is Miller Toyota of Anaheim. Speaking of those four teams we were mentioning earlier, let's get right to how each one did over the weekend. We will start with Fullerton, who just narrowly escaped from Southwestern with a victory. DeAndre Daniels ran in the football from 9 yards out to start off the game, allowing the Jaguars to take a quick and early 7-0 lead. It would be a full quarter before the Hornets finally kicked their offense into gear as Gresch Jensen fired a 36-yard pass to Tim Allen that got Fullerton inside of Southwestern's 30-yard line. Only 2 plays later, the Hornets were in the end zone as Jensen tossed a 20-yard strike to a wide-open Sean North to tie up the game. Jensen would show up once again in the third as he ran the ball in for a score to make it 14-7, Fullerton on top of Southwestern. However, later in the game, with Southwestern driving, DeAndre Daniels once again made it a one-score game that Fullerton would have to hang on to for another 4-0 start to their season. The Hornets were taken to the final drive and were able to pick away a W after the Hornets picked up a sack for a safety by Shane Darso, which allowed Fullerton to stretch their state-leading winning streak to 23 games. After that, it's not often that we get to talk about taking a trip up north from a Hornet game, but that's exactly what we will do. Up we go to Huntington Beach, where the Golden West Rustlers had one of the most entertaining, low-scoring games in the CCCAA. Golden West and Bakersfield were entering the game after wins. Golden West, the Rustlers, were looking for a chance to get their second consecutive victory and first over a national division team this year, while Bakersfield was looking for their third win and a statement to propel them into the top 10. Bakersfield entered the game advertised as one of the top rushing teams in the state. They racked up over 350 yards rushing the previous week while only grabbing 16 passing yards. That's right, 16 passing yards. The Rustlers in the game immediately started off the game in some trouble as the Renegades went to the air in the first quarter on a 55-yard bomb from Josh Medina to Shane Jones that got the Renegades to the Rustler 5-yard line. However, for the second straight week, the Rustler defense held tight inside of the 5 and were able to keep Bakersfield out of the end zone. This forced Bakersfield to kick one of their 3 field goals on the day. A couple of stalled drives from both teams, the Golden West Rustlers were able to take to the air on consecutive big plays for 30 yards, which got them inside the Bakersfield 30. After a 20-yard completion to Robzel Sylvester and a false start, the Rustlers' Bo Kalbacher quickly got off a 13-yard touchdown pass to Braylon Mouton, who gave Golden West the lead. Neither team would get close to scoring again until the 11:28 mark of the second quarter, where Nathan DeJager got Bakersfield 3 more points on a field goal. After the half, Bakersfield would once again rely on DeJager as he nailed a 35-yard attempt to give the Renegades a 3-point lead, which is how it would stay until the start of the fourth quarter. with Golden West driving to their own 43-yard line. Tavon Valdez broke off a 55-yard rush to the Bakersfield 2. On the ensuing play, the Rustlers would punch it in, with Wolf Retzlaff getting across the goal line. The score would stand to help Golden West take a victory after Bakersfield had an intentional grounding finish off their attempt at getting back into the end zone. So once again, Golden West with the victory, 13-11 over Bakersfield. And now Golden West moves to 2-2 this season with a big-time matchup coming up this Saturday against the College of the Canyons Cougars. And wouldn't you know it, Golden West has to travel all the way up to Canyons to play in that game. That'll be on Saturday in the afternoon here on SportsNetUSA.net with myself, Ryan Osborne, and the voice of Golden West College football, the franchise, Rashawn Haylock, will be on the play-by-play there. Once again, that will be on SportsNetUSA.net. Now we go over to LA Valley, where an absolute shootout was taking place. The LA Valley Monarchs were looking to get back to 500 for the first time this season. LA Valley had a tough task ahead of them, with heated rival LA Pierce coming to town to take on the Monarchs in Van Nuys. Both teams had played each other for years and were looking to get to 2-2. The game started off very well in LA Valley's favor as the Monarchs scored on consecutive drives. First off, a Dawson Schick 15-yard touchdown pass from Julius Sebastiano. Then the Monarchs got across again with Patrick Gonzalez taking off for a 43-yard touchdown scamper. Those two would put LA Valley on top 13-0 after a missed extra point. LA Pierce would finally get on the board with a touchdown pass as well. However, it was one of the longest plays in the state of California in the last 5 years. Jonathan Saavedra connected on a 99-yard touchdown pass to Christian Graves to make it 13-7. After that huge strike from the Brahmas, LA Valley would march right back down the field and convert on a 31-yard touchdown pass from Gonzalez to Terrell Love Jr. to bring the score back up to a 2-possession game. The Brahmas would put together consecutive scoring drives as well in the second quarter as Doma Morris and Ricard Altidort's 12- and 4-yard touchdown runs, respectively, moved the Brahmas to within striking distance. The big plays wouldn't stop there, as LA Valley would go up again by 2 scores with a 55-yard touchdown run by Kareem Miles, who got loose, and another Dawson Schick run into the end zone put LA Valley up by 2 scores, a 16-point lead. However, the rival Brahmas were intent on spoiling LA Valley's attempt to get back into the win column. The Brahmas, led by Jamie Vincente Colon, got 3 straight scores in the fourth quarter, including a 44-yard return on an interception by Vincente Colon, which would put LA Pierce up by 7 with under 2 minutes remaining. Just when everything was about to close on the Monarchs' daylight, the Brahmas conceded a safety, which would truly come back to punish them later. They ended up allowing LA Valley to chase them into the end zone and eventually gave up the 2 points. Just 30 seconds after the safety, with LA Valley hurrying down the field to beat the clock, the Monarchs had Patrick Gonzalez, who found Kareem Miles on a 12-yard strike on the left-hand side to give LA Valley the victory by a final score of 46-43. LA Valley grabbed 30 first downs in the game and had a near 600-yard offensive game for the first time in over 5 years. So LA Valley will move to 2-2 this season, and they'll have another game coming up this Saturday. We move over to a brand new team here on SportsNetUSA.net. East Los Angeles College, not only new to SportsNetUSA.net, but also new to the National Division. And when you do make that move up from the American to the National, it's going to come with a lot heavier opponents. One of those being Mount Sac. That's right, East LA had to go out to Walnut and take on the Mounties. Well, things didn't start so well for East LA in the game, as East LA came in at 2-2, And all of a sudden, Gabriel Dunkel with a 33-yard field goal, followed just 2 minutes later by a Montez Evan 5-yard punt return for a touchdown, made it a 10-0 first quarter lead for Mount Sac. Thanks to Ricky Quintero, a 51-yard field goal attempt was good, and it brought East LA into the game just down by 1 score, behind by 7 at 10-3. East LA would string together another scoring drive as Paul Herrera would punch across a 6-yard touchdown run, giving East LA a tie with Mount Sac. Well, just about 4 minutes later, Guy Bouchereau ended up having a 28-yard pass to Steven Nava, and it made it 17-10, a 7-point lead for Mount Sac over East LA. However, East LA not one to quit this season. After getting that first National Division win just a few weeks ago, David Allen takes that momentum and rides it to a 4-yard touchdown run to make it 17-17 with just 12:33 left to go in the third quarter, just coming out of halftime. Mount San Antonio, the Mounties would not go away, and this is where it kind of stretched away from East LA just a little bit as Mount San Antonio came across with 2 consecutive touchdown drives. Chris Jackson, Damien Alloway, both with huge strikes from Steven Nava, putting them up 30-17, a 2-score game for Mount Sac over East LA. East LA was able to get a 15-yard pass from Paul Herrera for a touchdown, which made it 30-24, but that's as close as it would get, as the rest of the way, Mount Sac was able to get a 92-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by Damien Alloway, and also a Hakeem Massey 27-yard touchdown run with 3:31 left to go in the fourth quarter. That would be the sealer, as East LA ends up dropping their game to San Antonio. Mount San Antonio, that is. The Mounties come across with a 44-26 victory over East LA. Mount Sac nowhere near East LA when it came to time of possession. East LA had 37 minutes and 25 seconds of possession time. It led to 29 first downs. Not to mention, in total offense, East LA put up a 407 spot on Mount Sac, something that another National Division team hasn't done in a little while against Mount Sac. Well, you look at East LA, 290-yard passing, 117 on the ground. You go to Mount Sac, only 210 in the air and 95 yards on the run. East LA was dominant defensively, and their offense was clicking on all levels. The problem was they just were not able to stop the big plays by Mount Sac and their special teams. A punt return for a touchdown, a kickoff return for a touchdown, 14 points. That would be one of the difference makers in between both Mount Sac and East LA. Paul Herrera ended up throwing for 244 yards with a long of 41 and a touchdown. Steven Nava went 13 of 30 for 210, a long of 49 and 3 touchdowns as well. However, he did throw 2 interceptions in the game. So East LA, unfortunately, will drop their game to Mount Sac, and they will end up going down to 2-2 on the year. We move over to SportsNetUSA.net's rankings, something that in the state of California have been a little bit askew for the last couple of years. You start off the season, you look and you say, wait, how is Fullerton College not ranked number 1 overall to start the year? They're the 2-time defending national champions. They have yet to lose a game over the last 23 weeks of play, and yet they were ranked number 2 to San Mateo to start off the year. Well, eventually California would get it correct, as now Fullerton remains at that top spot. But you know what? Here at SportsNetUSA.net, our voters were just tired of seeing kind of these rankings that came out of nowhere. So we go and we have our SportsNetUSA.net official rankings. So the SportsNetUSA.net rankings, second week that we've had them here on SportsNetUSA.net. SportsNetUSA.net. We get right to it in the National Division. Fullerton stays on top with that number 1 ranking, considering that they have yet to lose over the last 23 weeks of play. You go to number 2, tied at 2. Well, it was San Francisco and Laney at the time that these rankings were released on Saturday. College of the Canyons came in at 4, considering that they were undefeated going into the weekend, and Ventura right behind them as well. RCC, they lost to Fullerton College by 1 point in week number 2, so they dropped initially in the rankings and are slowly working their way back up, considering that they had a 47-0 win over previously ranked Long Beach. After Riverside goes to Cerritos. Cerritos going into the weekend was undefeated, and San Mateo was right behind them at 2-1 as they had a recent loss to American River. Southwestern would make an appearance at number 9 overall for SportsNetUSA.net, and American River would be right behind them at 10. Now, let's get right to how all of these teams in the National Division ended up faring over the weekend. Fullerton did get that victory, as we mentioned just a little bit before. Fullerton comes across with the win, and they beat Southwestern 19-15. Just a 4-point lead, but they do end up winning, which means that you can look at SportsNetUSA.net's rankings for this upcoming week and pretty much expect them to stay at the number 1 spot. San Francisco had themselves a tough weekend. They ended up playing Butte, and Butte just absolutely demolished them by a final score of 42-21. San Francisco put up no reply to the Butte Roadrunners, and Butte would take home a big-time victory. So San Francisco is definitely going to drop out of that number 2 spot. You have Laney, who ended up with a 70 spot that they put up on the scoreboard. They should stay up there in the rankings. College of the Canyons, who Golden West is going to play this upcoming Saturday, they had a win in addition to Ventura as well. Riverside took home a victory over Cerritos, who was ranked at number 7, so Riverside should climb a little bit as well. And Cerritos, of course, losing to RCC, so we'll see where they're going to end up in the rankings. San Mateo had another victory, so they're going to move up. Southwestern losing to Fullerton, and American River, of course, they ended up losing this Saturday, and it was not pretty. So American River drops to 2-2 this year. As we move over to the American Division. Now, the reason why SportsNetUSA.net has an American Division ranking, one, because there is an American Division team here on SportsNetUSA.net, that being LA Valley, one of the better American Division teams in Southern California over the last 5 seasons. The second is because no one really gives the American Division as much respect as those here on SportsNetUSA.net. We start off at number 1 with Mount San Jacinto. They brought home a victory, as well as Reedley. Reedley College in the north, they take down Foothill, who got votes to be inside of the top 10. Reedley doubles up on Foothill, and they should stay at number 2 in the upcoming rankings. Hartnell with the victory, as well as Citrus College right behind them. Allen Hancock, who has been terrific in the run game. They put up 70 points over the weekend, and they should stay up there in the SportsNetUSA.net rankings. Chaffee was tied with Allen Hancock going into the weekend. Chaffee with another victory, so they move up to 3-1. And you also can't forget the fact that they absolutely dominated Mount Sac the week prior in a 13-0 victory over the Mounties. Monterey Peninsula put up 40 on the board, and they came home with a victory. But then after that, that's where things start getting a little murky. Pasadena City College, they lose to Chaffee, so they should drop. San Bernardino Valley, loss. Cabrillo, lost by 3. De Anza College, they ended up taking a victory. Foothill loses. And San Diego Mesa, of course, moving into the National Division, they had a big victory over Grossmont as they won by 4 scores. So those were the top California Community College football team rankings here on SportsNetUSA.net. We'd like to thank you for joining us here on this recap here on the Coaches Show on SportsNet sportsnetusa.net. Don't forget to follow us next week here on The Coaches Show as we'll deliver more recaps from Fullerton College, Golden West, in addition to East LA and LA Valley. So once again, we'd like to thank Corey Lewis, Gresch Jensen, and Coach Zeno for joining us here on The Coaches Show on sportsnetusa.net. Janae, you look at Saturday, big-time game against Ventura. We talked about it earlier, but for Fullerton, it doesn't get much bigger until later on this season.
Right now, Ventura, they're in the top 5 right now. So last year, Fullerton did come away with a win playing against Ventura, but we'll see what happens this Saturday.
Speaking of this Saturday, you can watch it right here on sportsnetusa.net. Corey Nalen, Mark Pavlovich, the voices of Fullerton College football. We thank you for joining us here on The Coaches Show. For Janae Price, I am Ryan Osborne. This has been The Coaches Show on sportsnetusa.net.